We see so much talent from so many people across the community, as Mr. Bitter highlighted in his Eyes on the Community. Also, we saw Zoe's wonderful talent and artistry throughout the season. But we're here to celebrate that talent as well as the talent of the players. And these next two players are incredibly talented. Now, to have our two casters tell you a little bit more, I'm going to throw it over to Gretorp and Frodan.
Thank you so much. Love you too. Thank you so much, Clutch. That's right, guys. Our last quarterfinals will be Western Wars Sortof against TSL Hyun Gretorp. I am really excited because we've been seeing great ZVZ out of both players, and these are two guys that anyone who wins is going to be like one of the coolest stories of the NASL.
But Frodan, like many North Americans, who the heck is Sortof? We haven't heard much of him.
He's not North American.
He just busted onto the scene
NASL.
recently. I know, but what do we know about this guy?
Sortof came through the open bracket. He has placed pretty well in some tournaments. Like, for example, he went second in WCS Sweden, where he lost to Thorzane. And then he went to the esports SM tournament, but where he lost to Thorzane again. But that was his ZVT. His ZVZ, on a different hand, is much better.
That's
He's beaten Symbol to get here, and everyone knows how good Symbol was. Symbol beat Lenok in the open, and then when you all thought, like, oh, well, Symbol will be one of these players that'll probably qualify for wildcards, not the case at all. Sortof beat him pretty handily.
Yeah, and Sortof also, going through the open bracket, didn't lose a single map to a non-Zerg matchup. That's pretty impressive. Of course, he is going up against one of the, probably, if not the best Zerg in the world, Hyun.
So you're finally starting to say that now?
Yeah. Dude, this
At the beginning of the season, everyone doesn't know. Like, I was like telling Gretorp, I was like, I think Hyun will be a superstar if he isn't already. And Gretorp's like, oh, okay, cool. This is like cool information, but like giving me the nod, like, okay, Mr. Crazy.
Dude, I was watching Hyun play like 3 games downstairs, and I was just blown away. You know, you always expect these players to be like absolutely superhuman, and you see like, oh, okay, their macro's okay, their micro's okay, and then you really watch his decision making, what he's doing, how efficient he is, and I was like, I didn't know what was going on because of how well he played. So I think Hyun is definitely the big favorite going into this, but don't count out Sortof.
All right, so as we get ready to go into the game, we're going to have Clutch introduce the players.
Thanks, guys. Just want to show off 2 of the youngest fans of esports here. Sign says, we're not even 5 yet, and we love NASL. Go to Muslim. I'm sure they'll root for the Muslim in tomorrow's matches. Thanks, guys. But now it's time to introduce our next 2 very talented individuals. First off, from Sweden, he is from Western Wolves, ladies and gentlemen, Sortof. And his opponent, the Fight Club King. Give it up for TSL Hyun. Gentlemen, if you will please shake hands. Good luck. Have fun. Let's hear it one more time for these players. Back to you guys.
Thank you again, Clutch. Thank you again, players. Good luck to Hyun and Sortof. Now let's talk a little bit more in depth based off what we know. Let's first talk about Sortof, the Zerg player from Sweden. Now, you know, we kind of highlighted a little bit at the very beginning of this tournament, but no one really knew who Sortof was at the beginning of the year. And people said, you know, is it really the patch that helps Sortof? I look at his play and say, not really. It's because he is the guy who says, I'm going to refine my 1, 2, 3 builds and play it well. Sortof played in the open. He used the same build throughout the entire thing, and he beat Koreans doing it. That is impressive.
You know, it's so hard to get noticed for doing absolute standard play. Because to be successful at standard play, you have to be, like, above, way above average. There's so many different builds that you have to defend against. Sortof, he doesn't have any glaring weaknesses. He also doesn't have like this super strength that he really focuses on. He's just good at everything all around, and that's what makes him so powerful. He went through the whole open bracket and also through WCS, just playing his style, his brand of play. Almost the I'm not going to die to anything standard, go to endgame and just win, outplay you. And that should really showcase how good of a player he is. I always kind of make an analogy to Haswabs and Mana, 2 players that are just super standard, but they're known for being exceptional.
Yep. So the builds that Sortof can do, can he take out one of the best Zergs, if not the best Zerg in the world when you kind of put them at their best? It's Hyun from TSL. Now, Hyun has a lot of hype because he's done really well at IPL Fight Clubs. He got super close to winning GSL, going to game number 7. You know, a lot of people say when Hyun's playing his best, he is a monster. And Hyun's really starting to translate his Brood War skill over to StarCraft 2. I'm super excited to see what Hyun can deliver to the table, especially since ZVZ is supposed to be one of his better matchups.
Hyun is a scary player, finishing 2nd in the most recent GSL. This guy, I mean, you said it best. He was under the radar in the beginning, and then he just exploded throughout the NASL season. Not only you, but Rotterdam. Rotterdam said he was just going to win the whole damn thing.
Me and Rotterdam were like, oh, Hyun will win IPL 5. He's going to win GSL and come here and win NASL for a triple crown. But Hyun still has the opportunity. Didn't happen for those 2 tournaments, but I think it can happen here. Let's get ready for game number 1 between Hyun versus Sortof. We're going to kick things off on Daybreak.
Daybreak has been known to be of the most standard ZVZ maps. We'll get into that a little bit. Let's go ahead and introduce our players first.
In the bottom left corner, we have the recent GSL Code S runner-up, 14-time IPL Fight Club champion and one of the best Zergs in the world. Give it up for TSL Hyun. And over here, in the top right corner of the map, in the blue, we have a barcode. And maybe he might be that unknown, but he's starting to make a name for himself. Give it up for Western Wolf Sortof. Now, Andre, I believe you were saying something about Daybreak being pretty standard.
Daybreak is also known as Zerg Break because every single Zerg loves to play on this. It's a very big, open map where it's hard to really rush your opponent. Now, it doesn't mean we won't see aggression. More so, it's easy to spot the aggression and then apply the appropriate counter, or at least defense. And that's why it's one of the more standard Zerg versus Zerg maps as well, because these 2 players will be able to go into 2, 3, 4 base, even 5 base play and just test their end game. Now, I feel like ZVZ has really been shaken up lately in, I would say, Violet's games especially. We saw double Nidus play coming out of him previously. We've seen a lot of drop play really surface up in this matchup. So it's really cool to have a shakeup like that. But right away, we can see a slight divergence in builds. A spawning pool, or excuse me, a hatchery first coming out from Hyun, more economic-centric, where we do have a spawning pool first before the hatchery, which is just a little bit safer to all cheeses.
Absolutely. You know, Hyun's one of those players not afraid to throw in the early pools, mix in once in a while. He does that, especially if you've been following his fight clubs. His series against Life, his series against almost a lot of Zergs. He throws in random pools here and there. It doesn't even matter if you're against Zerg. He does it against Protoss and Terran as well. So, you know, Sorto's taking the safe route, but Hyun's playing this super greedy hatchery first and then gas. This is a very common way to get speedling out while being able to macro up like crazy. It is a very greedy opening, but Hyun's usually a guy that's able to capitalize on his greed while being able to defend in case any all-in happens.
That's right. With the metabolic boost so fast, it's really not going to give Sortof the advantage that he normally has. When you go spawning pool first, you get that extractor a little bit early. You're also getting the queens out a little bit earlier. But with that metabolic boost super, super fast, you can normally be the one not only being aggressive, but scouting out your opponent first, just making the better decisions. But with metabolic boost coming out first for Hyun, he's having his cake and eating it. It's wonderful for him. He's getting his economy as high as possible and getting the scouts in and the potential aggression.
Well, you know, Daybreak, again, another map that's pretty safe, generally speaking, and that's why a lot of people go defensive Baneling Nest. We've seen Sortof do things like that a lot in our open. Now, that was 2 months ago-ish, or about a month and a half ago, so a lot of things could have changed for Sortof. But, you know, regardless, he's the guy that doesn't necessarily like to rock the boat. You know, we've seen a lot of mid and late game positioning wars. He's not necessarily the guy that says, I'm going to go for that Roach +1 timing. I'm not going to go for, you know, any kind of mutalist play and try to harass. He's the guy that says, I'm stable. I'll make the Roach Warren. I'll make sure I can transition safely and get my gases at an appropriate time. And if Hyun capitalizes on that, because it seems like he's getting things a little bit quicker, he's just going to have a slight edge. And with a player like Hyun, you don't want to give him any edge at all.
No, not at all. But you can already see Hyun is actually playing a little bit more standard. He's feeling out his opponent first, getting a very fast lair before any banelings, so we could definitely see some Spire Tech coming out in this game. With such a fast lair, there's so many options for that air tech. And of course, Daybreak, as I was saying in the beginning, such a long map, so you have that ability to defend against potential aggression, especially with Zerg and baneling. We have a little bit of trades over here. He's just feeling the drone count. Oh my gosh!
One queen snipe early on could be very big, and Hyun does get it. And even escapes with one Zergling and all of that while being able to tech to lair. Not a 6-minute tech to hive. That'd be ridiculous.
And look at this. Hyun is just way ahead, and nothing really has happened so far in this game. Already the lair is finished. The Spire is going down. Sortof's lair is just about 50 seconds late, and on top of that, he doesn't have his 3rd and 4th gas. He's really still trying to feel out his opponent. You can really see the super fast metabolic boost coming into play in this game. Hyun just rolling the dice ever so slightly and is able to pull off this build and also make it look like it's super hard aggression, or the potential of super hard aggression. So at this point, I think Hyun is sitting pretty comfortably with that Spire advantage. Let's see what Sortof does to react to this, because this is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, and does Sortof have any... Oh, sorry, he just scouted, so he knows what's coming up. Going to get his Roach Warren and Evo Chamber accordingly. We've seen some Zergs try to go for a quick Infestation Pit as well, and try to make sure they can turtle behind Spores and Queens. That way, when the Mutalists come, they'll be okay. And look at that, a quick Infestation Pit already from Sortof as he's getting ready for this incoming Muta harass. Hyun going to take a 3rd base, and this is where going to be the center of attention. Can Sortof get his own 3rd base up, if at all, because normally that's what Mutalists can excel at, denying bases, harassing, and controlling the pathways between.
That's right. That's the big advantage going into Mutas. Not only do you gain map control, you kill a lot of Overlords, but you get your expansion over your opponent sometimes. I mean, in this particular position, he should be able to claim his 3rd base and also put a lot of pressure on his opponent. So that would be really, really nice. You can see a couple of trades. Nothing of too much value. They're each just, you know, jabbing ever so slightly. But as soon as those mutas pop out, there should be immediate pressure going on into this mid-right position.
Yep, just a few mutas popping too, just 6. You don't need to overmake them. And from there, you know, you still have to do a standard reaction, just like in every other matchup nowadays. You just make a few mutalists, and that's enough to force Spores and reaction. Hyun are going to pressure this 3rd base, and we're going to force Sortof to run down here. But again, just softening it up so that way the mutalists can come in, sniping the Banes, which is a great move, and then going back to focusing the 3rd.
Yeah,
excellent
what a fantastic
play from Hyun.
way. This is fantastic for Hyun. I mean, he's all over his opponent. You can see there's no potential counter attack for Sortof to really deny his opponent's 3rd base. Nicely done on those eggs/larva. Right now, Hyun is just taking out Queens. Just everything is looking good for him.
Oh man, Sortof was already up in the mid-50s, now down to the low 40s in drones, and Hyun's able to get a 3rd and able to harass pretty effectively. The Queen's out of position as well. Oh no, Sortof already letting things snowball a little bit, way out of control. And the Queens and Spores are trying to do as much damage as they can. The Infestors do pop, and the Mutalists do get caught, but a lot of damage has been done. Here's a follow-up Baneling from Hyun, and a lot of Infestors are there to
nice
absorb
fungal.
the damage.
Nice fungal again, locking down those other Banelings. Hyun trying to do a crushing blow right there, but the perfect timing for those Infestors. They pop out, and they're able to just keep those Banelings in their tracks. You can see no drones over here on the 3rd base. It was the opportunity cost for that one attack. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for Hyun, but he's still massively ahead with that 3rd base already up, with complete map control, eyes on the map. You can see the Overlord coverage is a lot better, now taking the 5th and 6th gas, while the 3rd for Sortof is just now coming up here. It is unfortunate that he lost those mutas, though. If you look back, the Infestor count is still pretty nice from the previous engagement. So he didn't really lose that much, Sortof didn't lose that much, whereas the mutas need to sort of be remade to stop those Infestors from regressing up on the field. There's no anti-air for Sortof, so he has to rely on Infestors if he wants to push out, but of course he can't push out, he doesn't have the Infestor count.
And, you know, the small advantages that Sortof has in his department, like for example, he does have the upgrade advantage. He did get infestors earlier. Those things are slowly being negated because Hyun has able to retain this third base for so long because he'll catch up really quickly. It's not like the infestors would have that large of an infestor, energy count because he's able to keep them down. And these roaches aren't really that effective just yet. Now the third is under siege. Hyun dealt with everything at the natural. Now he has to run here, but Hyun still has a pretty good drone count, 62 to 52, and that's after Sortof's been pumping massive amount of drones.
And don't forget those upgrades, Frodan. That is pretty significant that we didn't talk about yet. 0-0 for Hyun, whereas +2 missile attack is coming up here. That means he will always two-shot all of these Zerglings and make Sortof's roaches that more effective. And Hyun is actually looking in a worse position now. Now that the third base is sort of situated, the roaches are supercharged now, and the infestors have been gaining a lot of energy. I feel like Sortof is in a very comfortable position. He can take his fourth base if he doesn't feel confident enough to go on and try to attack, and just have that economic advantage, even though he's been behind in both drones and hatchery counts. He just has the better quality units.
Well, we'll see. I mean, that's always assuming it's a direct confrontation, but with double Evo chamber upgrades, Hyun is going to play more of, well, at least for now, he's going to play very heavy Zergling, so that way he can get his fourth base up. Hyun is playing this extremely map control, or sorry, playing extreme map control and really trying to deny any kind of ability for Sortof to push out. And Sortof, you know, he's not necessarily afraid when he has to turtle. You know, a lot of Zerg players feel like when they're restricted vision in ZVZ, they feel very wary, like, how am I be able to do anything? Because if you go on Sortof's vision, he can't see anything. But we've seen him in this position multiple times, and once he moves out, he's usually able to force good positions regardless of what happened in the early and mid game.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm almost positive he's doing a huge timing attack. There's no reason to stay this passive. The Hydralisk Den is getting a Groove Spine upgrade, so we're going to see Hydralisks in a little bit. 10 Hydras in production at this point. So as soon as they pop out, we're going to see him just push, really exercise that upgrade advantage. Even though 1-1 is about to finish, +2 attack still goes ahead and double shots those Zerglings. So he's going to be so effective with this next attack. He just needs to execute. He needs to pull the trigger.
Yeah, does Hyun have enough time to mass up a huge army? He's starting to reincorporate roaches back into his army composition, while Hyun is still trying to just deny bases and continue to enforce his dominance over any kind of map lane. Meanwhile, we see that Hyun is also getting Burrow, and Burrow can be really useful if you extend the life of the roaches by burrowing them between battles, but normally it's the case of ZVZ is very momentum-based. You know, if you're trying to escape, it's really tough because you lose a lot of roaches. It's not like you have time to burrow. So that usually means that Hyun can do a lot of cool things like roach run-bys and then burrow. You know, if you get late game and you drop roaches and then burrow, that's where burrow really comes into utility, and I feel like that's where Hyun can start excelling if he goes that long.
Most definitely. But here we go. The rocks are going down in the middle, and this is going to be the timing. He sent in an Overlord with Overlord speed just to check what his opponent is capable of. Now he sees a lot of infestors, so he is a little bit wary at this point, but he knows he has the DPS advantage. If he could get a good spread and not get caught by just massive fungals, then he's going to be pretty far ahead for this this incoming fight. It's just, you know, can he spread the units in time? Can he get the right fungals and place those infested Terrans as needed?
Well, I like the angle at which Sortof's pushing in. He's going from 3 different spots. Hyun has to hold in 3 different areas, fungals onto the main ones, but here's an infested Terran barrage from Sortof. Remember, he does have superior upgrades. Hyun trying to transition to Hydras, but he's forced to make more roaches, and the bottom half is already caved in. Sortof trying to break through. Hyun has to give up his 4th base.
In the meantime, there is a counterattack at the 3rd base, nicely done by Hyun, but this is a massive advantage. How does Hyun stop this army? Now, a lot of the energy from those infestors are taken out. He's going to take out the 4th base and just drop back, try to save not only his 3rd, but also his 4th. I think he will be able to do so. You can see the 3rd, 400 hit points down, and just like that, he's harassing and going ahead and burrowing, just as you said, Frodan. Mutants are still active in play, trying to do damage, but Hyun is actually on the ropes at this point. Those Hydras really showing their worth with all the DPS that they really dish out. And from here, Hyun is just massively, massively ahead. The +2 missile attack, I can't understate that enough. It is so, so powerful in that attack.
Yeah, I mean, Hydras, their DPS, as long as they're safe, they can do the most DPS in the army if you give them nice position. And having Infested Terrans and Roaches buffer that damage is going to be what sort of can ride his momentum all the way home. He still has, he's maxed. He still has a good amount of economy too. He's getting his 4th base and getting gases 7 and 8. Sortof going to also go for another 3-prong attack, and he's not even going to try to defend this.
No, he's not.
Says nope.
Give up the 4th base. Try to go into a position where it's a little bit more narrow, so those fungal growths will be effective. You can see over here, it's just a line where you can fungal probably like 3 fungals across, and it locks everything in place, so it's a little bit more manageable. But of course, Sortof not going to fall into that bait. He's just going to go ahead and back up, say, I have the economic advantage, I have the 4th base, I don't have to worry about anything.
Oh, wow, these Mews are still doing a pretty good amount of harass, 8-9 kills apiece, and still able to get a couple more of the Infestors, trying to lock them down, see if they can get rid of them. Hyun had a lot of utility out of them, still sniping Overlords throughout the game. Sortof's vision still pretty restricted, and despite the fact that Sortof was ahead in terms of the army count, it was Hyun that still had map vision, which is really, really good.
Yeah, map vision just gives you the ability to make the better decisions. Sometimes you might have the better army, but you have no ability to really make that call to say, I can attack here, or I can attack here. So that's why you have some, I guess you would classify them as mistakes, but really, given the position, you never had a chance to make those calls. So that's why I think map position is probably one of the most crucial things in ZVZ, and that's why also I love this Overlord speed, because it allows you to make those informed decisions. Here we go again, a triple threat as he comes in from 3 different sides.
Yeah, but this time, Sortof doesn't have the Infestors directly in front, but now he's going to toss all the Infested Terrans.
Wow.
Hyun doesn't have as big as a bank as Sortof, 4K to 3K resources for Sortof, so even if he loses his army, he's got a lot. Hyun doesn't necessarily have the better upgrades, but he's got a lot of Hydras. He will hold on the bottom front, but the top front he's losing on too, and he's out of Infestor energy. Sortof trying to make a breakthrough right here at this moment and take out the 4th base again.
Yeah, Sortof just needs to lean on this 4th base, and he's looking good. It looks like he will be able to flank some of these Hydras. The Hydras directly targeting this hatchery. It's a lot of ways to DPS at this point, but it's weakening the hatchery to the point where maybe the next wave can do the finishing blow. Still, I love Sortof's plan. It's a really intelligent way to play this out, but he has to be careful. There was a lot that he lost in that last battle, and he could be prone to some counterattacks.
Yeah, but, well, I mean...
maybe not. Maxed army against 166, sort of way ahead.
Yeah,
in this
the
game.
bank is just too big, too large of a deficit, and during this entire time, still Sortof has an upgrade advantage. Whether or not he's going to be able to, Hyun will be able to overcome, we'll find out in just a second as more Infested Terrans pop in, but there's too many Infestors for Sortof. He just has the ability to take much more damage, and Hyun won't be able to hold this, and he loses his 4th base. How on earth he's going to ever be able to recover in this game?
The free units were tanking all the damage. The 4th base is going to go down for that. The Hydra is just dishing out at maximum damage to all those Roaches. The Roaches really not doing much because they were attacking Infested Terrans, but what else can you really attack when there's a huge wall of them? Sortof playing this beautifully. And I have to say, he's really done so well. I have to say also that the big problem, I think, was the Baneling hit. It just didn't do nearly as much damage in that mid game. But here we go, possibly the last fight. Beautiful arc for Sortof, and he's just crashing down on Hyun's army. I don't think Hyun can come out of this alive.
I mean, more Roaches are coming in for Sortof, and Hyun's now down just 100 supply. Now dipping below, Sortof about to break through. Game number 1, he was the underdog. GG.
Sortof.
You know, a lot of Europeans on Twitter and on forums were saying Sortof is their guy, the great representative to for the foreign scene. DeMuslim, of course, bringing his A game, able to take Violet to game number 5, but we have proven time and time again that the people who get here deserve to be here.
That's
excellent gameplay by Sortof. We were talking about, too, it doesn't necessarily matter if he doesn't have map control or vision. He's comfortable playing from a position where he has less vision, as long as he can get great attacks, great position on the high ground, and coming in from 3 different angles. Solid play.
Yeah, and he did everything he needed to defend against those mutas. Admittedly, Hyun was very far ahead, but Hyun trying to be super aggressive at the worst possible time. Infestors just popping out, you're right under those Spore Crawlers, and then the Banelings are surging through. As soon as he locked down both groups of those Banelings and he killed every single muta, there's a reset. And when that reset happens, what does Hyun go to? He doesn't have the Roach Warren up. He doesn't really have the capacity to go mass Zerglings because his opponent has +1. He needs to make those mutas, and mutas just ridiculously put you far behind because it's 100 gas. That's a lot of opportunity cost for not only upgrades, but potential quality units like Roaches, Hydras, etc.
Room was brought to you by LABite.com, the premium food delivery restaurant service in the LA and Orange County area. Thousands of restaurants where you can order, even at the crowd, if they're hungry, you can use LABite and use NASL promo code as you check out to let them know that you support us. When we come back, game number 2 between Sortof and Hyun. Hyun's already down 0-1. What's going to happen? We'll let you know right after this break.